and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour l'arrivée des dignitaires. Please welcome the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, and the Honorable Joseph R. Biden, Jr., Vice President of the United States of America. Veuillez accueillir le très honorable Justin Trudeau, Premier ministre du Canada, et l'honorable Joseph R. Biden, Jr., vice-président des États-Unis d'Amérique. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez s'il vous plaît demeurer debout pour les hymnes nationaux. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir le très honorable Justin Trudeau, Premier ministre du Canada.
Merci mes amis, merci beaucoup d'être ici ce soir. Dear friends, distinguished guests, former prime ministers, ministers, members of parliament, American friends. It is an extraordinary pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate and mark this extraordinary, deep friendship between Canada and the United States and host a state dinner for Vice President Joe Biden. You know, about 6 months ago, President Obama graciously hosted a state dinner in Washington for us Canadians, but he sent Joe out of town that night, and he missed it. So we're, ever polite as Canadians, happy to be hosting Joe here tonight for his very own state dinner. Although I have to say, there will be no Ryan Reynolds or Blake Lively here tonight for you, Joe. I'm the only eye candy you get to sit with tonight. But we've turned out our best tonight, not just in this room, but outside of this room, as we've put on our very best Winter Wonderland show for you. The first snowfall of the year in Ottawa is always wonderful, Joe, because the snow is fresh and clean, and it hasn't yet turned into that gray sludge or cement we deal with for the rest of the rest of the winter. But it got me thinking. I went home tonight after work to help the kids with their homework and get them ready for bed. And then I decided to go for a run, clear my head. And as I ran through the snow, I got to thinking about the cycle of seasons, about how we Canadians thrive through whatever the conditions. And it got me thinking, obviously, about tonight and this extraordinary friendship between Canada and the United States. One that thrives through all the cycles of political seasons, whether it's warm sunshine or heavy snow, whether it's paddling in a canoe over a glassy lake or lifting the elbows in the corners in a hockey game. We do very well in all conditions, and this friendship endures through whatever situations we encounter. It's a special friendship, one that is unique on the world stage. As all good friends, we agree on a great many things, disagree on a few others, but always remain united in our hope for a stronger North America and mostly a better world for our kids and our grandkids. We are the closest of friends, steadfast partners, and unwavering allies. Our relationship is bigger than trade and security. Canada and the US share common core values like equality of opportunity and the fundamental belief that if you work hard, you will succeed. I believe in these values, and I know Joe does too. His life's work in politics reflects that. As most people in this room know, Joe has dedicated the last 4 decades of his life to public service, since his election to the U.S. Senate in 1973. And the first time I met Joe a number of months ago, he told me stories of my dad and how they had gotten along famously well back in the 70s when he was a young senator and my father was, well, doing what he was doing up here. And I know that my dad and Joe had some great talks about public service and political life in the 70s. And I know all of us would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in those conversations. Because Joe has fought all his life for causes he believes in. Things like combating sexual assault, domestic violence, and gun violence. It's fitting for Joe to visit us right now at the tail end of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence campaign. This has long been an important cause for him, and we thank him for his continued leadership on the world stage on this issue. And Joe's commitment and the United States' commitment to helping the middle class grow and prosper is one that we certainly share. So Joe, it's a pleasure to have you with us in Ottawa for a few days. Tomorrow will be a great opportunity for you to hear from provincial, territory, and Indigenous leaders, many of whom are here with us tonight. Thank you for being here. For you to hear about climate change, about clean growth, and about the far-reaching impact and importance of this Canada-US friendship. A tried and tested partnership, Canada and the US will forever remain friends and allies as we tackle the world's greatest challenges together. Thank you for your leadership, Joe, and thank you for your and for your country's enduring friendship. Merci, mon ami.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Joseph R. Biden, Jr., Vice President of the United States of America. The dancing is here, and we have to memorize Joseph R. Biden, Jr. This is the time of the President.
Mr. Prime Minister. Hey, man. Mr. Prime Minister and former Prime Ministers, I remember those days when I used to be eye candy. Don't get used to it, old buddy. Another 40 years, I don't know. By the way, thanks for the snow. I went to school at Syracuse University. We have as much snow as you guys do, 198 inches a year. And matter of fact, in Syracuse, the only bright days are when it was snowing. And it's a delight to be here. And, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for giving me the honor of being here tonight. I've been to Canada many, many times in my youth, and as a young man, as a student, and as a senator. And in fact, my deceased wife's family is from Toronto. My children, my boys grew up wanting to be, it was hard when I was a United States Senator from Delaware, they wanted to be Mounties. I kept saying, you want to be state police in Delaware. No, I want to be a Mountie dad. You think I'm kidding, I'm not kidding. And, but my wife's whole family is from Toronto, and there's long, long, deep ties. I've been here twice as Vice President, Mr. Prime Minister. The first time was the Winter Olympics of 2010. You all made me a hero because I had all 4 of my granddaughters with me and my daughter, and I was treated so well they actually thought for the first time maybe I was Vice President. And now it's true, in those Olympics you did a remarkable job. The country did a remarkable job. Vancouver did a remarkable job putting those Olympics on. And you won more gold than anyone. We won more medals, but you won more gold. And we take the gold. And I might add that it was an incredible display of hospitality. And then I have 2 of my 4 granddaughters are truly fine athletes. One, since 8th grade, has been being recruited by what they call D1 colleges down my way. And so I remember the favorite picture we have is at the hockey rink as well, with watching the women hockey players, and they're giving high fives as they're going into the locker room. But my point is that we had a great time there as well, making me even more of a hero with my granddaughters. By the way, my granddaughters love me more than anybody in the whole world. And granddaughters, my daughter is the love of my life and the life of my love, but those of you, how many of you gentlemen have daughters and a granddaughter? Raise your hand. Granddaughters are better. You know why, Mr. Prime Minister? One night when you're a dad, and your daughter's about 12 and a half years old, you tuck this beautiful little butterfly in bed. And the next morning you walk in, there's a snake in the bed. Dad, drop me at the corner. Dad, don't cheer so loud. Dad, don't kiss me in public anymore, Dad. They all come back somewhere between 19 and 23. Mine waited till 23. And now it's, Daddy, you're not hydrating enough. Daddy, she took a month off her work to make sure in the last campaign I was taken care of. But granddaughters, they not always love you, they always like you. My granddaughter at the University of Pennsylvania just graduated. We're walking down the mall. Can we hold hands, Pop? Can you imagine saying that to your dad? So it's really worth it to be made to feel so good in Canada because the way you treat me with my granddaughters. You know, as a matter of fact, I owe Canada a lot. I had a very lackluster, I went to law school on an academic scholarship, but I took a long time to buy my books. But I was saved. I got a job with a first-class law firm in the state of Delaware, the corporate state of America. And the reason I did, you had the International Moot Court competition up here, and I won that. And so I owe Canada my first job. No, I really do. I had nothing else to go on, nothing else. So but look, the truth is, throughout the years, we've always made time for important things. You know, the way I look at our relationship, and I know sometimes we're like the big brother that's a pain in the neck and overbearing, and I mean that sincerely. I get it. But we're more like family, even than allies. I really mean that. At least that's the way the vast majority of Americans feel about Canada and Canadians. It's like family. And the friendship between us is absolutely critical to the United States, our well-being, our security, our sense of ourselves. And I hope you feel it's critical to you as well. Few nations on earth share more than America and Canadians. Our histories and our cultures have sprung from the same root. Our economies and our livelihoods are inseparable. And our values, they come down to a simple proposition, my dad would say, and they're similar. The abhorrence of the abuse of power, whether it's physical, economic, or political, as well as the notion that every single woman and man deserves to be treated with dignity. I mean that sincerely. It's not just in our constitutions we hold these truths self-evident, but it's about dignity. It's about dignity. And you know, I've observed there's another similarity. There is no quit in Canada. There is no quit in the Canadian people. I really mean it. There is no quit in America. There's no quit in the American people. It's never, ever been a good bet, and I've met every major world leader for the last 37 years because of the nature of my job. And I tell them the same thing. And I'd say it about you. It's never, never, ever, ever been a good bet to bet against America or Canada. It's never been a good bet because of the resiliency of our people. I was out of the country, as the Prime Minister pointed out, when President Obama had the state visit. I think he was worried you'd like me more than you like him. So he sent me, I get to go to all the garden spots of the world. I have now traveled over 1 million, almost 300,000 miles as vice president. It's easy because when I go, everybody knows that because of the close relationship of the president and I, there's nothing, as my mother would say, lost between the cup and the lip. When I speak for him, and they know it. It cuts through an awful lot. But he doesn't send me a lot to Canada or France or England. I mean, I won't say where he sends me, but you can guess. And I happen to be in the UAE, Jordan, Iraq, and on the way to Egypt when you were having dinner with the president. And so this is a true story. I spend a lot of time with the president. because of the nature of the relationship and my job. There is no power at all in the vice presidency, nor there should be. It's all reflective. It's only in direct proportion to the portion of the confidence the president shows in you. So I spend between 5 and 7 hours a day on average with the president. And we all start off every morning with a national security briefing. And after the briefing is over from the national intelligence community, we sit and talk for a few minutes about what we're each doing that day, and then we depart Oval. I depart the Oval. And today, as we're having our little 2-minute check of the schedule, he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to a state dinner." Like I said, "I'm going to a state dinner." It's a true story. And he said, "Where the hell are you going?" I said, "Canada." He said, "Who invited you?" So thanks for allowing me a few bragging rights here before this is over. And it's an honor to be here. You know, as they used to say in the Senate, which I served in for so long, if you excuse me, I'd like to make a point of personal privilege. I did know your dad. I knew your dad. Your dad was Prime Minister through '74, and I got elected in '73. And I got to meet him. We were both young men then. I had just turned 30. And there was an unfortunate occurrence in my family. I lost part of my family. And your dad not only was decent and honorable, but he reached out. He reached out and commiserated with me about the loss of my wife and daughter. And then again, during the period where the tail end of the Ford administration and into the Carter administration, I had been Jimmy Carter's national campaign chairman. And I watched your father. I watched everything he did. He was a man of great integrity. And my dad used to have an expression that I applied to my boys. I had 2 sons, and one was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware, a highly decorated veteran of the Iraq War. Spent a year in Kosovo as a civilian, setting up their criminal justice system. And my dad used to say, "You know you're a success as a father when you turn and look at your child and realize they turned out better than you." I'm a very successful father. Your father was extremely successful. Extremely successful. And so, Mr. Prime Minister, it's a genuine honor to be here. It's a general, the president really does send his best. You know, there was all the internet lit up after you left. You and Barack and your bromance you had going. I've been at the other end of that for a long time. If you look on the internet about Barack and me, I mean, I tell you what, I wish he hadn't sent me that bracelet, but you all think I'm kidding. But look, we've stood together. We're standing together right now, facing down ISIL in Syria, Iraq, bolstering our allies in Eastern Europe, particularly Latvia, combating climate change, which I guess we're going to get a chance to talk about tomorrow, the most consequential issue of our generation. And as you look around the world at this ebb and flow, as I've watched in my career, there are periods where the number of genuine leaders on continents are in short supply and when they're in heavy supply. Right now, I've never seen, and my area of so-called expertise has been the former Soviet Union, Russia now, and Europe. I've never seen Europe engage in as much self-doubt as they are now. So the world's going to spend a lot of time looking to you, Mr. Prime Minister, as we see more and more challenges to the liberal international order than any time since the end of World War II. You and Angela Merkel. There's a lot of soul searching going on in Europe, and you saw some of it in my country. But I am absolutely confident that we in North America are better positioned than any time since the end of World War II to lead the world, to lead the hemisphere, to move it to a place in a way that we haven't seen. The opportunities are immense, immense. From the cure of cancer to by the time your children are able to go to the airport on their own, they're going to be flying subsonically at 22,000 miles an hour. The changes that are going to take place are going to be astronomical. The progress is going to be made. It's going to take men like you, Mr. Prime Minister, who understand it has to fit within the context of a liberal economic order, a liberal international order. Those basic rules of the world. We're going to get through this period because we're Americans and we're Canadians. And so, had I a glass, I'd toast you by saying, Viva la Canada. Because we need you very, very badly. Thank you.